You've heard it through the baby monitor, the full throttle, lung-busting, the world is ending scream. You drop everything. You rush down the hallway, heart racing, convinced there's a crisis. But the moment you step into the room, silence. Your baby isn't hurt. They aren't even upset anymore. They just look at you, maybe even offer a tiny, toothless grin, while a single tear still rolls down their cheek, like a scene from a dramatic movie. As a parent, your first thought is usually, wait, was I just scammed by a 10-pound human? It feels like manipulation. It feels like they were faking it just to get you into the room. Welcome back to Baby's Mind Secrets. Today, we are decoding the instant silence. We're going to look at why babies have this biological mute button, the fascinating science of the external nervous system, and why that sudden stop is actually a sign of a perfectly functioning, high IQ survival instinct. By the end of this video, you'll stop feeling like a victim of infant mind games and start seeing yourself as the emotional superhero your baby's brain thinks you are. Let's get into the psychology. 1. The signal versus symptom theory. To understand why a baby stops crying the moment they see you, we have to look at the purpose of crying. In adults, crying is often a symptom of an emotion. We cry because we are sad or overwhelmed, but for an infant, crying is a signal. It is their only form of communication, the psychological goal. In developmental psychology, we talk about proximity seeking. An infant's primary goal for survival is to ensure their caregiver is close by. When you aren't in the room, the baby experiences a biological alarm. Their brain registers the absence of their safe harbor as a potential threat. Why the instant stop happens. Think of the crying like a siren on an ambulance. The siren's job is to clear the way so the ambulance can reach its destination. The moment the ambulance reaches the patient, the driver turns the siren off. Why? Because the goal has been achieved. When your baby stops crying the second they see you, it's not because they were faking it. It's because the siren did its job. Their brain registers. The caregiver is here. The threat is gone. The signal is no longer needed. It's a highly efficient biological system. They don't need to cry anymore because the solution, you, has arrived. 2. The external nervous system, co-regulation. Here is the mind-blowing part of infant neurology. Babies are born without the ability to regulate their own nervous system. When an adult gets stressed, our brain uses the prefrontal cortex to say, hey, calm down, everything is fine. A baby doesn't have that hardware yet. Their brain is essentially an external hard drive that needs to be plugged into your brain to function properly. This is called co-regulation, the vagus nerve connection. When a baby is alone and crying, their sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight branch, is in overdrive. Their heart rate is up, their cortisol is spiking, and they are in a state of high arousal. The moment you enter the room, their brain begins to mirror your nervous system. If you are calm, your presence triggers their parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest branch, via the vagus nerve. Your face, your scent, and your voice are literally the medication that lowers their heart rate. The silence you hear isn't manipulation. It's the sound of their nervous system rebooting because it finally has the external support it needs to feel safe. They stop crying because your presence is a physiological off switch for their stress. We're about to talk about the object permanence trap and how to handle the Velcro baby phase. But first, a quick shout out to the parents. If you have ever stood perfectly still in the hallway, holding your breath, hoping the crying will stop on its own, only to realize your baby has parent detecting radar that is more accurate than NASA, you are in the right place. It's exhausting to feel like you're the only thing standing between your baby and a total meltdown. Here at Baby's Mind Secrets, we want to give you the tools to understand that tiny, demanding roommate. If you want more insights into why your baby does the weird things they do, hit that subscribe button, join our community of professional cuddlers, and let's make sense of the madness together. Give this video a like if you've ever felt like a human mute button, and tell us in the comments, does your baby stop crying the moment you walk in, or do they wait until you actually pick them up? Let's compare notes on our tiny scientists in the comments below. 3. The object permanence trap. Around the age of 6 to 9 months, a major psychological shift happens called object permanence. Before this stage, out of sight literally meant out of existence. If you left the room, the baby didn't necessarily miss you, they just existed in the now. But once object permanence kicks in, they realize Mom-Dad still exists, but they aren't here. This leads to separation anxiety. The psychological logic. When you leave the room, the baby is hit with a wave of the unknown. They don't know if you're coming back in 5 minutes or 5 years. Their crying becomes more urgent because they are actively trying to summon you back into their reality. The visual confirmation. When you enter the room and they suddenly stop crying, it's a moment of cognitive relief. Their hypothesis was correct. You do still exist, and you did come back. The stare they give you right after they stop crying is them updating their data. They are confirming that their world is still predictable and safe. They aren't playing you. They are practicing the most important psychological concept in human history, trust. Every time they cry, you appear, and they stop. The trust neural pathway in their brain gets a little bit stronger. 4. Is it ever fake crying? Let's address the elephant in the room. Some parents swear their baby has a fake cry, that specific, slightly forced sound they make when they just want attention. In developmental psychology, we call this requesting crying versus distress crying. By 8 or 10 months, babies do learn the cause and effect of their actions. They realize, if I make this specific sound, my favorite person appears and we play. But here's the secrets part of Baby's Mind Secrets. Even if it's a request for attention, it's still a valid need. To a baby, attention is just as vital for brain development as milk or sleep. They aren't trying to control you. They are trying to engage you. When they stop crying the second you enter, they are showing you that their social hunger has been satisfied. It's a sign of a high-functioning social brain. They have learned how to influence their environment to get their needs met. In the business world, we'd call that leadership skills. In a nursery, we call it the switch. So how do you handle a baby who seems to mute themselves the moment they see you? How do you build their security without feeling like a prisoner in your own home? Here are the 4 psychological steps. Step 1. The I'm here vocal bridge. Before you enter the room, use your voice. Talk to them from the hallway. I hear you. Mommy is coming. I'm just finishing the dishes. This helps them bridge the gap between absence and presence. It teaches their brain that they don't always need to see you to be safe. Step 2. The calm entry. If you rush into the room looking stressed and panicked, your baby's mirror neurons will pick that up. They might stop crying for a second, but their internal stress will stay high. Enter calmly. Show them with your body language that there is no emergency. This reinforces the co-regulation we talked about earlier. Step 3. Practice brief departures. Play games like peekaboo or I'll be right back. Leave the room for 30 seconds and come back before they start to cry. This builds the trust muscle. It teaches their brain that your absence is always temporary, reducing the urgency of the signal over time. Step 4. Validate the stop. When they stop crying the second they see you, acknowledge it. You saw me. You feel better now that I'm here. And as this helps them label their own emotions, you are confirming that their communication was successful, which actually makes them less likely to use extreme crying in the future because they know a simpler signal works. The next time your baby switches off the waterworks, the second you walk through the door, don't feel like you've been manipulated. Feel proud. It means you have successfully built a bond where your mere presence is enough to heal their distress. You aren't being played. You are being preferred. You are the most powerful stress relief in their entire universe. If you found this look into the instant silence helpful, please give us a like. It helps other parents realize they aren't being scammed by their infants. What's next? To understand why your baby might still be aware of you even when you're not in the room, watch our video on the psychology of babies who are too aware, right here. Thanks for watching Baby's Mind Secrets. Keep showing up, keep being that safe harbor, and we'll see you in the next one.